Hello and welcome. This is rooflemonger, my friends. The Avatar fighting game closed alpha has now finished up, and I figure now that I played it for a bit more here, we had one initial video, but now with a lot more time, let's post some just final thoughts about the game. And also a little bit of news while we're at it. So the alpha's over, and a lot of you who did get to play, you're fiending for more, and frankly, a lot more of you did not get to play, right? Because not a lot of people got invited in. However, it was recently just posted by the official account that there will be another alpha test. It'll be bigger, it's going to be worldwide, more people are going to get invited. No specific date on that, but soon, quote unquote. Soon can mean a lot of different things. I don't think like next week soon, but like probably January, February next year. I think that's hopefully what they're talking about. So the news out of the way, let's talk about Avatar. So when we had the first video live, like I was already gushing about the game. That was day one. And now with the benefit of playing even more of the game, learning more of the systems, just figuring more things out, yeah, it's still fun and it's even more fun yet. And now also with the beta over here, I've seen the general community reaction, and we talked about it a little bit in the previous Tokon video, a little bit of Tokon versus Avatar, perhaps forced drama, but regardless, the overall public perception of Avatar is very good. From a lot of people, I would argue very disingenuously, arguing it looks like a cheap Flash game to now, oh, this might be the fighting game of 2026. So a pretty big swing in general perception of the game, I think you'd agree. And the positivity on the game is on all fronts. People like the Avatar franchise, they like the Avatar IP, the gameplay itself is good. Once again, people saying it looks like a cheap Flash game. Now people are saying it looks beautiful. I've always thought it looks really good in motion. And now that seems to be the more general opinion on the matter. Basically though, now that the alpha test has concluded, the overall opinion on the Avatar fighting game is just really positive. People are digging it. So now let's continue the lovin'. I just want to talk about a lot of things that I actually enjoyed quite a bit with the game. For one, not to relitigate arguments we've already made on the channel, but I enjoyed the training mode in the beta. Having a training mode in the beta helped me actually learn how to play the game. Like I learned some basic combos, and eventually I started upgrading my routes once I started figuring out what is what. And eventually started figuring out concepts like, okay, how about a combo that doesn't let them roll out of the corner? Because getting your damage is good and all, but you want to get some pressure after the fact. So then I started figuring out routing that helps remove the ability to roll out of the corner. Because this specific combo, the way it ends, it forces you to air tech after the combo's over. So no rolling out of the corner. There could be something wrong with that, I don't know, but we'll figure that out later, I guess, next time around. And then sort of putting it all together into like one greater combo form, right? Being able to figure out more advanced concepts and more advanced combos led to more fun when I actually played the game, as opposed to Marvel Tokon, where I was mostly stuck doing the most basic combos I could figure out because I really had no opportunity to learn anything else. Again, future fighting game betas for whatever game you may be, please put in training modes. It helps more than it hurts. Also, another thing I grew to appreciate, and I think a lot of newer fans will like this as well, because obviously this game's going to bring in a certain segment of the Avatar fan base who may or may not be fighting game players, is the meter system. Meter management is at a core of fighting games just across the board. That's just sort of how most fighting games work. Not all, but most. And this game has the chakra system, which is sort of taking place of your traditional meter. Those are the little balls there underneath your health bar. And the concept behind it's mad simple. Like, you can burn them to do various enhanced moves, sure, just like most fighting games. And to build them, you don't got to build a bar, just land a special move. Done. Did you land a special move? Then you get one chakra meter. Simple as that. And it's 4 chakras for your little super, 7 chakras for your big super. In retrospect, I think it could maybe favor characters that use specials more in neutral, but whatever. We'll figure out balance ramifications later down the road. But basically, hit a special, then you get an EX later. Cool, simple, I like it. Another thing I got to appreciate as my time with the game grew and got more experience with the game was the flow system itself. Now, I guess I'm of two sides of it. With Korra, the forward and backwards part of the flow movement with the flow button, I didn't think it meant much for her specifically. Like, you could do a lot of moving around that doesn't matter for a character that's basically just a rushdown character. Like, it looks cool, but I didn't get the value for Korra. I think it's actually a lot stronger for other characters. But the universal like low profile flow where you just hit down on the flow button and you can go underneath a lot of things. Like at first I just thought it was highs or something, right? But you can go basically under anything that's just not a low, like across the board. Which I thought led to a lot of fantastic call out situations, both me getting called out and me calling out the opponent. And then the fact that you can basically use it as a guard cancel. So if someone's doing a very predictable string, which I was, you can basically blow it up like mid-string, mid-block string, low profile the hit, and then counterattack them on the other end of things. So you can't just do autopilot offense. You will have some kind of gap that everyone can universally blow up with the flow system and then just get got. On block as well, there is basically a universal alpha counter, V reversal, drive reversal, whatever you want to call it. They have that too, right? But specifically being able to flow cancel on block and then being able to like extra big time blow up someone's spot if you know what they're doing in the middle of a block string. I like that a lot. And the low profile flow is just useful regardless, right? Like for Korra, hers is a bit different. Everyone's is different, but hers will slide forward and she gets an attack out of it. And if I know projectiles are coming my way, I can blow it up and then get a small combo on the other end of things. Cool. So I like that it's a universal mechanic that is useful. And then within the context of it being universal, it's still different for everybody. Like for someone like Zuko, his still low profiles, but his is more like a stance. He has multiple options out of his. Versus Korra can only move forward and do like the water tornado or nothing, and then just start hitting buttons. Once again, for Korra, I guess the one downside is the other flow stuff I didn't find as useful for like forward backwards movement, because she doesn't want to run away. Like in my time with her anyway, she doesn't want to run away, so back flows, whatever. And forward flow, which is slightly faster than dashing forward, you can't control the character for the first little bit, right? So you can't block or cancel or whatever. So I'd rather take the dash where I have a lot more control over my character being able to cancel into attack right away or being able to block much faster. Again, maybe I need more time with the game to figure out the Korra specifics of the situation, but normal, traditional fighting game movement seemed to benefit her a lot more than, say, Zuko or Aang, who seem to get a lot out of flow movement. But again, hey, maybe that's by design, right? Just figure I would bring it up. Also something to bring up, I appreciate this game has a more old school design philosophy in what's allowed and what is not allowed, like this example here. So Korra has a jumping air overhead special, and the way the game works, they let you do it like the frame you are off the ground. And if you happen to have either her temporary buff or the avatar state, it does lead to a full combo. And a lot of more modern fighting games, things instant air, tiger knee, whatever you want to call it, right? They usually have a minimum height ceiling in it, specifically to prevent things like that, where you basically got hit by an unseeable overhead. So you have to like travel a minimum amount up in the air before you get to do it so people get to see it coming. And they're like, no, let's do it like the old way. And yo, speaking of doing things the old way, have you seen Zuko? So he has dive kicks and he has the one variation or support character rather that makes dive kicks even better than it currently is. And his dive kicks are some of the best in the history of dive kicks. Like he's guest character worthy to be in dive kick itself.
Round 5 dive kick. Iteration limit.
You can do it like a frame off the ground. You can do it while jumping backwards. You can do it while off like his double jumper. Like you can do it off everything, right? And it leads to combos and it can be plus on block. Dude is like honorary Rufus. Change the voice actor and get some aye every time he does a dive kick. So basically a mentality where old school levels of power in characters are okay. And not to say it's busted, because it's not busted. Like, once again, there's a lot of strong universal systems in the game to help manage a lot of that stuff. And a lot of the older games, busted things were busted because the systems to counterplay or get around them didn't exist. Now they do. But with each character just having a very wide moveset, like a very big moveset, the universal systems are really strong. They're allowing some kind of messed up power levels and things that a lot of modern fighters don't have. Like it all leads to a very interesting fighting ecosystem. Another thing I'm a big fan of, and I know some people don't, I've seen, if anything, this is probably where I've seen the most divided opinions, and I think it really depends on like what your fighting game background is. So in this very fast-paced, incredibly aerial mobile game, there is no air blocking, And I think that is absolutely to the game's credit. It keeps things moving. One of the biggest credits I can give this game is its overall speed and pace. Like, you can do a whole match and it only felt like one round because it's just that fast. And a big part of that is because you're heavily incentivized to be airborne to a degree, and being in the air is not safe. And if you hit someone in the air, you can get full combo conversions. But it's high risk, high reward, because for the most part, anti-airs are kind of bad in the game as well. Like, far as I know, Korra is the only character with an actual, just like, invincible reversal dragon punch style move. Everyone else, you're assuming some element of risk. And not to say there's not reliable buttons for anti-airs, because there is, but I like the fact that you are kind of always just going. Someone's always getting hit. You can't do the usual anime thing if you're frustrated of just run forward, super jump, hold back, and block your way in. Doesn't work in this game. And if you could, then I don't think this game would be as fun. Like, Zuko's a zoner style character, right? I've lost more than a few matches because I get frustrated against zoners. I tried jumping, I get blown up for it. If I could just super jump my way in, hold block against his projectiles, that would remove a lot of the battle. Like, you gotta take some risks. Zuko has a very high reward anti-jump projectile as well. He gets combos off of it. And that's part of his design. For someone like Korra, she has her down flow, her low profile flow. Hers moves forward a great degree, unlike some of the other characters, specifically to get around projectiles. Like, legitimately, I think adding air block would remove depth from the game. And again, it just helps the pace. You're going to be airborne very often, and situations where you're both in the air, that means someone's going to get hit. And again, I just think this is all to the game's benefit in the end. And last thing, and you know it now that you've seen the game in action, right? The game just looks great. I'm a big fan of the Avatar franchise, and they're doing well by it. Even the little details, and you could argue the little details matter the most. Like, Korra can freeze people. She has that ability. You know, Sub-Zero style freeze, get combos afterwards, whatever. As long as it's buffed anyways, but there can be even references in that. The thing is, if you've never watched the show, Aang's got some experience in being frozen. And you can see it in his face when he gets frozen here. He's not having it. It's all in the face. Basically like, oh no, not again. As he's recreating the pose from the show where he's originally found in the iceberg by Sokka and Katara. This alone tells me the right kind of people are in charge of this game, because you could just have some generic freeze animation or whatever, right? And instead you went for an explicit reference. You went the extra mile when you didn't have to, and that's the kind of stuff I really appreciate. So that's just some of the things I've been enjoying about the game. I like a lot about the game. Again, not to relitigate everything we already talked about in the other video. Check that video out if you haven't already. But we gotta be fair and balanced. We gotta talk some downsides as well here. Now, that said, I actually don't got that many downsides, and a lot of them are purely technical issues. Like, stuff that'll certainly be fixed come by the time the game comes out. Like, hey, we're looking at Zuko's move list. So I can learn a lot about Zuko, but where can I learn about, the game? And, it's an alpha, maybe there's no tutorial, whatever. But if we go to Aang's move list instead, he gets a tab showcasing the actual system mechanics. So it's just an omission, right? It's here, and I learned some stuff I didn't know was in the game thanks to this, because I didn't see it in the other character's move list, and I didn't look at Aang. But this is the sort of thing that should be on every character's move list, and I'm sure come launch it will be. Another thing I didn't learn till it's too late is rebinding your buttons. So in the main screen, there's no option for options. And when you're in game and you hit start, go to options, the only options are to just change sound settings. So I'm like, oh, I guess you can't rebind your buttons. Oh, whatever. So I played pad for the entirety of the alpha, and that's fine, although my hands sort of hurt because I switched to leverless specifically to avoid hand, wrist, arm pain issues. And then later I'm told, and I feel like a dummy, on the character select screen only in very small text, it says press select for button config. Okay, I didn't see that. When I'm in character select, I'm usually looking at the characters, okay? Sue me. So if I knew that and I saw that, I would have saved myself a very sore thumb over the weekend. So my $1 million suggestion is maybe put button changes in the actual option menu, and also maybe put the option menu in the main menu of the game. Now, besides some of these technical foibles, an actual clarity issue I would like, twofold. One, as it currently stands, there is no notification if you're hit by a cross-up or not. And if you have the notification, then you learn if you got hit by a cross up. Zuko's dive kick can definitely cross you up. And sometimes you don't know because it's so ambiguous if you even got crossed up to begin with. Once again, his dive kick is old school, jacked up. And if you had the cross up notification, it would provide a good deal of on the job training, if you will, right? Because you'll be learning what side you got hit on and can hopefully avoid it in the future. And on that note, for clarity, so if you counter hit somebody, it says counter hit. Sure, great. If you punish somebody, it says counter hit. Oh, that's a little harder to get. So now you don't know if you caught them mashing or if it was an actual punish. And once again, for on-the-job learning, if you're learning while playing matches, the difference between counter hit and a punish is very, very big. Now, for the most part, I think the game does a pretty decent job of just notifications in general, right? But when it comes to delineating specifically between counter hit and punish, I think that should be a fully separate message. They should not both just say counter hit. I know some people do not like text showing up on the screen. For some people, it can be a little overwhelming, but for me, at least, I can only speak for myself, more info, the better. More clarity, the better, especially if you're watching as a viewer, right? Sometimes a situation in fighting games may not be clear, and if you have a little text prompt that's only up for like a second or whatever, saying what exactly happened, that can make a lot more sense. So basically, for things like cross-ups, just add a notification. If a move crossed you up or not, it'll help the player getting hit by the cross-up a lot, trust me, because I just didn't know which side I was getting hit on sometimes. And for counter hit versus punish, I think that's just oversight, honestly. Just, again, more clarity for the player, both players, more better in the end. Next thing, and you cannot argue against this. Next thing, Zuko's fire pit, which is very good, does a lot of damage for that kind of move, absolutely needs to go away if he gets hit. I can even count the amount of times I got like a third of my life crisped off me because I managed to catch Zuko in the corner and I'm in his flame pit. I'm not going to drop my combo to get out of the flame pit, but then I'm losing tons of life. If you have a persistent active effect on the screen, it should go away if you get hit. That's kind of fighting game 101. It's magnified a lot more by the fact that some of his other persistent things, like some of his slower fireballs, do go away if he gets hit, just not that fire pit. That, and it burns you even if you're knocked down. You can get hurt even if you're not standing, which seems a bit much. So I feel that should be addressed. Another thing, honestly, this is just more of a peeve at this point. That dumb breakdance kick he does. It's safe on block, hits both sides, low profiles everything. Like, it became an issue for me after a while. Like, you can't, like, she has a reversal. She has a dragon punch, right? You can't even dragon punch him out of it because he low profiles the dragon punch. If there's any one move that drove me nuts by the end of this alpha, Zuko's breakdance kick was absolutely it. But that said, as far as negatives go, like there's a couple maybe balance quibbles, whatever. Rest assured, this game ain't coming out for a hot minute just yet, sometime next year, and everything is very subject to change. Like I heard, I never got to see it, but I heard that Katara apparently has an infinite. I'm very sure that's not by design, right? So things like bugs or unintended ways mechanics or characters work, all to be fixed, and anything for balance specific stuff, plenty of time to hash all of that out. So I guess to close out, I've just been super impressed. Like I got nothing else to say other than I'm super impressed. Of the newer fighting games coming out in 2026 next year, I think this is the one I'm actually looking forward to the most now. Combination of I am a fan of the Avatar franchise, and that certainly plays a part in it, and I think the game actually is good. Like, it's fast-paced, it's frenetic, and it's fun, and I like all those things. The only thing I could argue is, like, the specific archetypes I personally enjoy, like big body characters with super armor, grappler. We don't got that, but that's just yet. We have 4 characters shown, and there'll be 12 at launch, and I believe we know at least 3 more. And that at least the official Discord has them listed. So Toph, Azula, and Sokka. And of those 3, even though Toph would be shorter, I feel like she'd be the game's big body stand-in with super armor, command grabs, or something like that. That seems very applicable to an Earthbender. Or if not her, maybe we get King Boomy, maybe we get the Boulder. There's a lot of ways to get more archetype representation in the game. Because as it stands, like, Korra's kind of generic rushdown. We have Aang, who's more tricky rushdown. Zuko's kind of just a zoner with a busted dive kick. There's a lot more archetypes to explore with the rest of the cast, to be sure. And it does make me wonder how far they're willing to go with it as far as like the archetypes go. I wouldn't call this necessarily an anime fighting game by the traditional standards, but you know, there are some archetypes in anime fighters, like say puppet characters. Could this game ever have a puppet character? Like how about Earth King and Bosco? Why not? You know, fighting games have a proud tradition of bears in them. And if you've never seen the show, what is Bosco's deal? Well, Bosco's deal is that he's just a bear. And I know that sounds weird, but in the context of the Avatar universe, that's kind of a big deal. Like, I understand a lot of the roster, you have to go with the safe picks. Like the people we have already, Toph, Azula, Sokka, sure. Probably some of the more notable core characters as well, like Tenzin or Lin Beifong, right? But you need a couple oddball picks. You can't just save all the oddballs for DLC. One or two gotta be base game. Someone who isn't as obvious as all the face characters. Like say, since we know Sokka's in the game, so there'll be non-bending characters, how about a Ty Lee? Who is a martial artist, sure, but her whole deal in the context of the show, and could be very interesting in the game, is she can take away your powers. She can make these superheroes effectively not super. And as a character in a fighting game, you can make that very, very interesting. You can make that work in a lot of ways. Like, okay, maybe I disable your special moves. Maybe I disable your ability to use the flow mechanics. Maybe I disable your ability to jump. Just given the fact that the characters are as inventive as they are in the game, Korra actually utilizing the avatar cycle to supercharge her moves, and then has the actual avatar state to make her even all the scarier. Aang and like his non-stop madness of movement options that are just not like anything else in any other modern fighting game. The fact that they're willing to get a little crazy with it, this makes me want to see a lot of the rest of the cast and just what they're up to, basically. Really, all I can say is I guess I'm just genuinely excited. This game, I think, is gonna be something special. That said, certainly, like, it's not replacing no Street Fighter or Tekken at the top of the totem pole. You gotta have, like, realistic expectations of these kind of things. But for what is a smaller studio, what is a game that was actually canceled and came back to life, I think this game has like an actual chance to make a name for itself. So far, and especially after this alpha test, it seems to have the makings of a success story. And if you time things right, like, hey, the new Avatar movie comes out next year, and if it comes out roughly around the time frame of that movie, you know, get a lot of that shared hype, that can make some big numbers. And like, I don't know for sure, but just guessing. But, you know, you got to think how big that movie's going to be. Probably some of the first DLC characters will be from that movie. Always got to hit him with that co-branding marketing synergy, right? Then we have the new show after the movie, which already has multiple seasons ordered, is my understanding. And my understanding also is the premise is Korra blew up the world, and the next Avatar in the cycle has to kind of deal with it. Good job, Korra. You definitely beat the allegations there. Like, legitimately, it's supposed to be a post-apocalyptic setting. Like the Mad Max of Avatar. Which sounds kind of badass. Like, I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, just exciting times in Avatar. So as a fan of the franchise, and obviously as a fan of fighting games, just sort of looking forward to everything that's going on. 2 big thumbs up is really what I got to say about the Avatar fighting game in the end. I loved what I played. I want to play more in the future. And I guess, long story short, that's what I got to say about that. So that said, though, I would love to know what you guys think. So post in the comments below what you think about Avatar as a whole. And other than that, well, it's the end of the video. So thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well. And go out and play some fighting games.